Yes.
4th of March, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos Purim.
Very good. Thank you. This is Rabbi Shlomo, first year Yeshiva Salmanapsi, Yerushalayim Care of Zoom. Our first year this morning, we are learning, as Lou mentioned, Purim, the Kadek Kemach, the Rebbeinu Bechai, his essay on Purim. So here we are. We are now in the third paragraph. Third paragraph um, in the second page of your document. The Razal for Vona. And now I'm going to explain. Now this is the crescendo. Haman is meeting his fate, and going to seal his fate, and his feet his fate is. Uh, there we go. Anyone like to begin to read? Please get started.
Baal Zeh, the Razal, Charvono, Eliyahu.
Ravona Zeh, Eliah. Ravona is really Eliyahu. How do you like that? Even Eliyahu Navi got into the Purim story. Everybody's there. It's a what's it called? What do they call it? A cast of something old full line cast. What did they I forgot what they called it? Full line cast.
V'hakavana shenidma lo Eliyahu b'demus Charvona Aleph. So let's see. The intention was to disguise him.
Right.
Eliyahu uh, came in the image of Harvona. What's the Aleph first?
Uh, that's referring to that Echad min hasrosim, hasarosim.
Oh,
Echad, he was one of the attendants.
one of
And
the
actually, I'm not mistaken. I think we'll see from this also that Harbona was actually originally a friend of Haman. He was really an ally of Haman.
right. V'haya Eliyahu le Mordechai, uh, and Eliyahu was for Mordechai. Um, Umelach uh, Hamus.
Mavis, Malach Mavis Haman.
Oh, he was the Eliyahu for Mordechai, but for Haman he was the Malach Hamavis. The Vizahu had Chadvo na and
Chavero, Chavero no,
Kaviro na.
Chavero, good, like a good friend.
He was a good friend. Uh, Chaveru Atah. He was a friend now. Klongmar, as to say, Zeh Haya Sivas uh, Meheros Mi Tato. That was the reason for the quickness of the death penalty. Shamar Gam Kine Ha'etz Asher Asa Haman. And he said, also look, there's the gallows that was made by Haman. LeMordechai, for Mordechai. Vayomer Hamelech Taluhu Alav. And the king said, hang him on it.
Right. He was the one that actually sealed the fate of Haman. As I said yesterday, because it was not so simple that Haman was going to get eliminated so fast. Haman happened to be a very close friend and advisor to King Achashverosh. They were equally involved in the decree, right? So this was a very big dilemma for Achashverosh, what to do with Haman, right?
Right.
So the
Miyad,
fact that it was pointed out that there's the gallows waiting for him right away, so then there was a foregone conclusion that that gallows was going to be used immediately for Haman, and Baruch Hashem it was.
Miyad, Visar, Hamelech, Es Tiva So, uh, Asher Ha'avir Mehaman, Vi Tana, the Mordechai. Immediately, the king removed his ring that uh, that was worn by Haman, and he gave it to Mordechai. V'achar shenisla Haman, and after Haman was hung, Hutzrecha Esther lehavir agaros I'm sorry, harishonos. And then Esther asked to nullify the decree, the first decree, Shanish Talchu Kavar, that had already been promulgated. Vizahu Shikasuv Vitosef Esther Vitidvar Livnei Hamelech Kule. And this that was written, and Esther added and said before the king,
Right. It could be, maybe it's worthwhile taking a look at those psukim over here. But Tosef Esther. Once I'll tell you where that is. See here. Let's see. That's it. That's in Perik Ches Pasuk Gimel. If you take a look there in your Megillah.
the Tosef Esther Vatidaber Livnei Hamelech. And Esther spoke again to the king, Vitipol Livnei Raglav, and she fell at his feet. Vatevcha Vatis Chanen, and she pleaded with him, with him, L'ha'avir, to do away with es ra'as Haman, the evil of Haman, ha'agagi, the Agagite, ve'es machashavto, and his plan that chashev, that he planned al haYehudim, against the Jews.
Right. So you see, even though Haman's out of the picture, they got a long way to go. They're not out of the Jews are not out of the woods yet. There's a long fight to be fought around here. They're not out of the woods here. There's still a lot to be done.
Right.
Esther's falling down on her by the feet of the king. She's begging for him. Right. She's really in a lot of
Hot water.
pressure to produce here. There's not just because someone's gone, that doesn't mean everything's fine. Far from it.
He's reaching out from the grave.
Yeah, that's right. Those decrees, those original decrees, were still active, right? And she only has 11 months to try and do something about it, right? That's not much time.
Right. Ki ichecha uchal lirosi v'ra'a asher timtza es ami. Because I think this is the next verse. Let's see. No. I don't. Because how am I able to bear to see the evil that will fall upon my nation, my people? V'hashiv la, and he answered her, Hamelech, the king answered her, Hine beis.
This is Pasuk, that's Pasuk Vav over there. That's Pasuk Vav. Right? And Pasuk Vav in Zion, if you want. Take a look there.
Okay.
Ichicha. Okay, so that's let's see, where is that? Because for how can I endure uchal? How am I able to endure the v'ra'itzi when I see bira, the evil, asher yimtza, that is overtaking es ami, my people. The eichacha, and how uchal, and how am I able to endure v'ra'isi when I see be'avdan, the destruction, moladati, of those who gave birth to me. Where was it? Okay, so the king answered. So that's probably the next verse. Let's see. Vayomer Hamelech. Oh no, it's not this. It's not the same. All right. Well, anyway, the king answered. See, the house of Haman I have given to Esther. Va'oso talu es ha'etz, and he was hanged on the gallows. Al asher shalach yado by Yehudim. Concerning that, he sent his hand against the Jews.
right? That Haman, who was hung on the 8th, right? He he was the one that sent his hand against the Jews.
Right. Because he tried to harm the Jews.
Apparently, that seems to be the what the pasuk is saying here. It seems to be indicating that he was hung, right, because of his attempt to harm the Jews.
Right. V'atem kasvu al haYehudim v'gomer. Uh, uh, V'atem kasvu, and now write al haYehudim, for the Jews, katov beinechem. Katov is
Right,
good. That's good for in their eyes.
right. Yeah, this is also the next pasuk.
Yeah,
Atem,
I'm reading
you meaning
Megillah.
that's referring. I think that's yeah, the next pasuk in the Megillah. I think that's referring to Atem, you and Mordechai Kasru shall write regarding the Yehudim, Ketoy Beinechem, as you see fit good in your eyes, as you deem proper, right?
Right, right.
Right?
As,
This
as,
according,
as you please.
yeah. Excuse me?
As you please.
Yeah. Right.
The chis, and seal it, b'tabas hamelech, with its king, the ring of the king, ki kasav, because something that's written, asher nichtav, and sealed, b'shem hamelech, in the name of the king, v'nach tom, b'tabas, and sealed with the ring, hamelech ein lahashiv, it cannot be retracted.
Right. Ein lahashi. Once the king makes a decree, the king cannot go back on his previous decrees.
V'yesh lish'ol v'heach sholeach lahashiv harishonos. And there is to ask, how is it that they could send to rescind the first decree? Aval teshuv aso shel melech haisa kain me'achar shetalu es haman al ha'etz. But teshuva, so they returned. The return of the king was thus after the hanging of Haman. Tochlu the Kasuv B'Shem Hamelech. It was written in the name of the king. The Tamru Ki Ma She Shalach Haman, because of what was sent by Haman, the Agaros. What's Agaros?
The Igeris, those were the letters, those were the decrees that were sent out.
was sent by Haman letters, Harishonos, the first ones, Sheyihargu, that they should kill V'om Mod and destroy Israel, the Jews. Lo Kach, not thus Haisa Kones Hamelech. What's Kones?
So this is referring to the first letters that they should Yirgmu almost Israel, lo kach, haisa kavanas melech, elel argu yuhu v'sonehem. So what is this? This is he's explaining a bit. Now he's explaining a bit. It says, Ki ma sheshalach Haman b'geras rishonos, that what Haman had sent out in the first letters, shehirgu almost Israel, that the almost the nation shall rise up against the Jews. Lo kach haisa kavanas hamela. That was not the intention of the king. Ella shehirgu haYehudim isunehem. Rather, it was that the decree is now going to be refined that the Jews should be able to kill out their enemies. V'Haman zayves shtaros, and Haman went ahead zayef. He forged, meaning he tampered with the shtaros, the documents. V'chasam osam b'tavas melech, and he sealed it with the certification of the king, Asher Biada, which was in his hand. Hofich mekavoras hamelech. It was the opposite of the intention of the king.
So what was the king's intention and what was Haman's change?
Apparently, that meaning he's asking a question. It says, "V'atem kasvel ayudin." The pasuk says that Achashverosh told Mordechai and Esther, "You should write about the Jews as you see fit. You write about the Jews as you see fit." Ein lahashi, but it says you can't rescind the decrees of the king. So how can he now issue another decree which is going to rescind the original decree? So yesh lishoel. First of all, yesh lishoel. There's to ask. V'heik sholeach laheshiv es rishon. How can you send out a decree which is going to recall the first ones? You can't do that. It's the royal protocol doesn't work that way. Once the king sends out a decree, you can't rescind the decree. That's the protocol. So the dilemma is as follows. He can't send out a letter which is going to demand a recall of the first letters, because that is something which you can't do. You can't rescind a royal decree. Now, Aval teshuva social melech came. What was the king? What was Achashverosh saying when you, Esther, you Mordecai, write what you see fit about the Jews? He was saying as follows: Ma'achashitola Haman ala eitz. Right now, since that Haman was hung on the gallows of wood, Tochol lichtov b'shem hamelech. You're able now to write in the name of the king. V'ta'amaru, and you'll say as follows: Ima sheshalach Haman igeres rishonos shehar yugesius Yisrael, that which Haman sent out in the original letters was that the nation should be able to rise up against the Jews. That was not at all the intention of the king. That's what you have to revise the original documents to say what Haman wrote in his original letters was not the kavana of the king. That was not the intention of the king. Meaning, what was the intention? That the Jews should be able to rise up against their enemies. And Haman Zayif es Sashtaros. Haman forged the documents. And he had them signed and sealed with the signet ring of the king.
So the king originally wanted it to say that the Jews would kill their enemies.
Right. And
But Haman said it to say the enemy should kill the Jews.
Right. And Haman changed it and said the enemy should kill the Jews. Right.
Which was the opposite of the intention of the king.
Right. Haman went ahead and forged the documents, which was opposite to the intention of the king. And you have a good excuse why that's so, because after all, Haman is hanging on the gallows. Why is Haman hanging on the gallows? Because he tried to do something dishonest with the decrees of the king.
All right, I have to go. I have to use the restroom. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, fine. Okay, I guess we can continue on there if you like. So, right. Right. But Raya Ladover, the proof of this is that Shatala Osala Eitz. You see that he's been hung. You see that Haman has been hung.
I don't have my sound on. Okay. Now I do. Excuse me. So Shetaleo Toalheit. So he's hung on the tree. She'im Locain Lama Katav Mordechai Laharog Ha'umot. So
Right, because if it wouldn't be so, Lama Kasabroy Laharge Asumos, why would Mordecai go ahead and write that you should kill out the Goyim?
oh, kill it. Okay. Die lo yinatzlu Israel ella be hachrach hutzrach la'asot kain. So it's enough for him, what, to save that they saved Israel?
Like that Haman, so to speak, didn't do anything wrong, right? Then it would have been enough. Then they have to question is why did Mordecai write that they have to kill out the Goyim? Dailo the Natslu Israel. It would have been enough just to try and save the Jews. He needed to, out of necessity, needed to do this. maybe you'll explain a little bit more. What's the point?
Well, maybe I would think because the this enemy now has it in their head that without another decree or something, or without being fought against, they could still attack and kill the Jews. But we'll
Mm.
see. It
Yeah,
says the Alkane uh, Ha'aminu uh, Hasniyot below Harishonot. Okay, so therefore, I mean, the enemy believed Haminu. No, that's not. They
right,
believed Hasinuyot.
right. That Alkain Haminu Shenuyos, that Rosh Rishonis. Therefore, they believed the second letters and not the first ones, right? Because they
Oh, oh, oh. Okay, so hold.
now
Okay.
the first letters are being uh, accused of being forged. They were forgeries.
Uh-huh.
Or they'll believe the second and not the first.
Oh, okay. Okay. The Arcane, Amar Bishniyot, uh, Ein Lahashiv, Ki Baba Hashniyut, Chashvu Miyad Harishonot. Okay, so therefore, uh, what the second one said, that they can't Lahashiv return, I guess. They can't
Right.
return.
That therefore, Alkein Omer B'Shius Ein Lahashiv. Right. Therefore, it was said in the second letters Ein Lahashiv. There's not a recall. Ki B'Ba Shenius, because when the second ones would come, Choshvu Miyad Shirishonim Mizyafis. Because when the second one was come, they would immediately understand that the first ones were forgeries.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So did
Okay.
I hear you say that the enemies believed the second letter?
Yeah, right. What has to what's taking place here is as follows. Since there's a rule that the king, when he makes a decree, he can't rescind the first decree. He cannot recall the first decree. So the first decree must remain in place. So the dilemma is as follows: that what are we going to do with this first decree? The first decree said that the nations can rise up against the Jews, and the Jews can't defend themselves. So what are you going to do about that? So therefore, the understanding of what needs to take place here now, right? The propaganda which has to be produced here now is that you must set up a situation where you have to cast doubt upon the validity of the first letters. Therefore, we'll say that the first letters were issued by Haman, not in keeping with the intention of the king, and Haman, in fact, uh, forged false documents in the name of the king, meaning the first letters. And therefore, when the second letters will come, right, people will realize that the first letters are really forgeries, and therefore you don't have to listen to the first letters. And the proof of this is the fact that Haman was hung. There's no greater proof that Haman had done something wrong than the fact that he is swinging from the gallows. So now that he's swinging from the gallows, you have proof that Haman did something wrong. And what is he being accused of? Of making this false claim against the Jews and this forgery of the king's um, decrees.
So if that's true, then I have a question. Why do the enemies attack the Jews?
So because he's hold on, I think he's going to deal with that. Hold on, because again, the only ones that really on the 13th of Adar, right, just a little bit more than 11 months hence, the ones who attacked the Jews were those basically those from Amalek. I mean, Amalek was looking forward to this, right? But in general, most of the other goyim didn't want to start up with the Jews. As a matter of fact, I think the Megillah even says that many of the goyim became converts. Many
Huh.
goyim became converts.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think he's going to discuss this. Let's say who. Let's see. For follow up a bit.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next paragraph. Lou, you want to continue? The who Achashverosh, right?
Um, so it's Al Das.
Yeah. Al das Hamedrash. Excuse me, right. That's the next paragraph. Al das. This is according to the Medrash.
According to the opinion of the Medrash, Vayihi Bimei Achashverosh Kol Makom Shene'emar Vayihi Bimei Lashon Tsar Hu. When it says it was in the days of Achashverosh, nevertheless, it says it was in the days of the
Yeah, the Medrash says this expression Vayehi, right? Vayehi bi'ami, that in the days of Achashverosh, Kol Makom Shenemar Vayehi bi'amei. All anytime you see this expression Vayehi bi'amei, that's Lashon Sarhu, meaning this that's an introduction to the fact that this scene which is going to be depicted before you in the Nach is going to be a scene of tsar, distress, calamity.
So when it says Vayehi Bimei, it's an expression of tsar, of
Right.
calamity. Okay. Uh, um, and that's from Breshis.
That's that's the yeah. This is an example. This
An
is giving
example.
right in the if you want to take a look, we have a Chumash Breshis in Yudala there. Pereshis Yudala says Yemi Raphael. Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not home. I'm in my apartment, so I don't have the Chumash.
Yeah, so that's if you remember, that was the introduction to the war between the four kings and the five kings, in which Amavino eventually entered the war and won the war. So
Ah,
it starts off. The portion starts off B'yamei Amrafel, in the days of Mamrafel, Asur Muhammad. It was a war.
right. And then from Ruth, Vayehi Bimei Shfut Hashoftim. It was in the days of the judging of the judges. V'haya Ra'av Be'aretz, and there was a famine in the land. Another example where it's a bad thing.
Right.
And then in Yeshaya, Vahi Bimei Achaz Aram Mikadesh.
Meked- I think Mekedem.
kedem v'pal shatim
Philistine.
the police team me'achor. The police team did something.
Well, in Bimei Achaz was one of the kings of the Jews. Aram was Mekedim. They had Amram in front of them, Philistine Achar, and the Philistine were behind him, meaning they were like surrounded. It was not
Not,
such a good situation.
not good. And then Yirmiyah, Vayhi bimei Yeho Yehoakim. It was in the days of Joachim. I guess that's just another example of bad situation. And
Right.
also Raisi es Haaretz V'hinei Tehu. Uh, the land was Tehu. What's Tehu?
Tohu meaning like it was desolate.
Desolate.
Oh, whoa.
Right. V'haya bimei Achashverosh haya Haman. And it wasn't the days of Achashverosh, it was Haman.
Right. So here the Medrash is just giving you examples when you see this expression. When Chazal uses expression or when the Psukim uses expression b'yibiyamei, that's an introduction to to a time and a situation which was not very favorable. So
Right. There's a lot of
uh,
examples. Straight.
yeah, yeah. So okay, let's leave this next paragraph till next time, and let's take a short break. We'll start the Mr. Brewer. We'll start again, Mr. Brewer Chelik Vav in Hilchas Purim. We'll start our Halachas Purim to begin soon.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay,
Thank
straight.
you. Thank you for the reading, Lou. Okay, we'll begin this paragraph tomorrow, Mitzvah. Okay, great.